Okay, so far we've gone traveling down this ManTour together. Danny showed us the need. He showed us why we need to be mentored and discipled. We need men coming alongside of us, helping us with our walk with God. And then Tom came and he spoke how to do it. He told us the methods. He showed us what steps to take, how to mentor somebody, how to do it, what to do. And my job is to give the cost. I get to give you all the bill, which nobody likes to be that guy, so I took that session. But we're going to look at what it costs to go on the ManTour. And we're going to look at two different sections. See, I'm a firm believer that every man should be mentoring somebody younger than him, and he should be mentored by somebody older than him. We all need that in our lives. So whether you are 16 or 60, you should have somebody older, if they're still alive, if you're 60, but anyways, influencing your life, and you should have somebody younger. And if you're 16, you think, I'm too young, I can't influence somebody. But if you're 16, I bet your church has a 12-year-old that thinks you are the coolest kid in the world, and he would be loved to be just like you, and he would love to have you invest in his life. So no matter how old you are, you need to be investing in another person's life, and you need to have another man pouring into you. So we're going to start today looking at the cost, and we're going to start first with what it costs to be discipled, what it costs to have another man mentor you, and then we're going to switch gears and look at what it costs to be a mentor. Okay, so I'm going to make it really easy. Take notes. If you're going to take notes, it's going to be a very easy outline. It's going to be just points, and then I'm going to share a few thoughts. So, number one, the first cost to have another man disciple you. To be a disciple, the first cost is you're going to need to be teachable. In order to be discipled by another man, you have to be teachable. You have to be able to listen to what they say and learn from their instructions. Let's turn to Exodus chapter 18. And while you turn there, I'm going to just set the stage what we're talking about here. Most of us here, I'm sure, have heard the story of Moses, 10 Commandments, and God delivered him out of Egypt. Well, that's where we're at in the Bible. We're in the section of the Bible where God set the Jews free from Egypt's slavery. They've come through the Red Sea, God destroyed Egypt, and they are now free men. They're free to serve God, they're free to follow God. Nobody is their boss anymore. And you have to stop and think. Every man that was set free, there was millions of them, but every one of them was born into slavery. None of them ever knew freedom. The men who were free got put into bondage, they had all died. So every man that came out of Egypt, all they knew was being a slave, having somebody else tell them what to do, having somebody else tell them how to act, what to think, where to go. And now, all of a sudden, by the power of God, they were free. Totally different way of life. And as you can imagine, all of a sudden, they didn't know what to do. They were used to somebody saying, do this, do that, go here, go there. So you have a million people who are not used to making decisions, they're not used to being in control of themselves, and all of a sudden, they're free. And because of that, the passage we're going to read, we come to see that they had nothing but fight and argument and petty squabble, and just one thing after another broke out. But they didn't know how to solve the problems. They didn't know what to do to fix their issues. So what they would do is what they always did. They went to the person that was leading them. They took every single issue, every single problem, they took it to Moses and said, here, fix it. Tell us what to do. You're the boss. We'll do what you say. So that's where we're going to pick it up at here. You can imagine, this was exhausting for Moses. All day long, he has a million people coming to him saying, this person said you're a jerk, or this person said that you're awful, and they borrowed milk and they never gave it back. Just petty, stupid stuff got taken to Moses, and Moses had to tell them what to do. So that's where we're at. We're looking at Exodus chapter 18, verse 13. And this passage, you're going to see Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, observing the situation that Moses is facing. So let's read that. Okay, the next day, Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw that all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, what is this you're doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge, while all these people stand around you from morning till evening? Moses answered him, because people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it's brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and instructions. And Jethro said, what you're doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear you out. The work's too heavy for you, and you can't handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I'll give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and his instructions and show them how they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That's going to make your load lighter because they will share it with you. Now, if you do this, and God so commands, you're going to be able to stand the strain, and the people will go home satisfied. Okay, so basically Jethro's telling Moses, hey, listen, son, these people are burning you out. You've got to stop doing things the way you're doing them. You need to set up a new system where somebody else takes care of all these stupid, they brought a cup of sugar and only brought half a cup of sugar back arguments. And when they have a really deep, serious subject that they don't know how to decide, then they bring it to you. And that's going to free you up to hear God, to listen to God, and lead these people the way you're called to lead them. Okay, now Moses has a choice to make. He can either listen to the advice of an older, wiser man and allow him to mentor him, or he can let his pride kick in and he can be an unteachable man. And we're going to look here and see what his decision is. In verse 24. Okay, Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all Israel and made them leaders of all the people, over 1,000, hundreds, blah, blah. And they served as judges for the people at all times. Difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. Okay, so we see here, Moses was willing to pay the price, to pay the cost, and he was teachable. No, he listened to the older, wiser man, and because of that, he was able to become the man God called him to be, and he could fulfill the calling God had in his life. All because this older man said, you're in trouble, you're going the wrong way, listen to me. But you know, he could let his pride kick in. He could like, listen, Pops, I got this. It's all good, let me alone, you know what you're talking about. But he didn't. He said, you know what, you're right, and I'm going to listen. And that's so true to this day. If you want to be mentored and you want to be discipled, you have to be willing to pay the cost and be teachable. You have to listen to what you're taught and accept the instruction and pay the price. Okay, so that's the first cost of being a disciple, is being teachable.